So start with the individual first. What are the biggest mistakes you're seeing people make in the drama department, and or, what should they do instead? Kind of zoom in for us, Joe.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you two very specific behaviors that we know are problematic and that just continue to perpetuate team drama. One of them is what I call judgy gossip. And judgy gossip is where you go to a peer or a confidant in the organization when you're upset about something or you're frustrated about something, or you just have some scuttlebutt and some news to share about something that you heard or that somebody else maybe observed. And we know it's sort of human nature that this gives us a dopamine hit, because it's nice to be included in the scuttlebutt. It's nice to be seen as being in the know. And when we take our judgment or observation to another person and they validate it for us, it makes us feel observant. It makes us feel wise. But everything about that interaction is a colossal waste of time. And over time, it actually does harm, because we create what are called drama triangles. And we'll get a little bit more into this in a few minutes, I think. But when you have those kinds of interactions where two people on the team are talking about a third person on the team, what happens when the third person on the team finds out about that conversation? Well, they go to their confidant. They go to their peer and they say, hey, do you believe that so-and-so and what's her name are over here talking about me? And so we end up kind of connecting and creating these webs of drama in organizations that do harm to productivity, that do harm to reputation, that do harm to that sense of team morale and camaraderie and connection that, when it's right, lead teams to all be rowing in the same direction together and do things well together. Now, as a caveat to this, Brian, I do want to mention that what I call processing gossip is actually healthy. So the difference here is, if I go to a coworker and I say, hey, do you believe that so-and-so said this? That's judgy gossip, because I'm just being judgmental and I'm wanting to play with my colleague. But if I go to you, if you and I work together and I go to you and I say, hey, Brian, I just had this interaction with Sharon and it's bothering me and I'm really honked off. Can you process this with me? Can we talk about this? Can you do like a check with me to make sure I'm not overreacting? Those are actually pretty healthy behaviors, because maybe what I'm trying to do is make sure that I'm not jumping to a conclusion, or make sure that if I need to go have a conversation with Sharon, that I'm not missing something or thinking about this in the wrong way. So let's distinguish between that kind of judgy gossip and that processing gossip, which is.
I think you just nailed it. My follow-up was so what should you do instead without judgy gossip? And I feel like you just gave the answer to the test question there, which is okay. But processing is good. And I think it's important that the way that you just phrased it, what I heard was that you weren't taking sides. The first version, the judgy gossip, sounds like I'm trying to find out if you're going to be my ally or if you're on Team Sharon. Yeah. And now we're picking sides and we're about to start a battle. Whereas if it's a processing thing, like, there is a productivity factor here, which is, if what Sharon said about me is true and it's detrimental to the team somehow, it's good that you asked. It's good that we process it. And if you need to apologize so we can move on, that seems way more productive in terms of handling that. So I'm following you there. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, and you just teed me up beautifully for the second kind of specific, practical productivity killing mistake that we see, which is avoiding uncomfortable conversations. Because in the scenario that we're talking about here, the right thing for me to do, if Sharon said or did something that I don't understand or that's bothering me, is to go and talk to Sharon about it. Is to go to her and say, hey, this happened. It's bothering me. I'm having a reaction. Can you and I sit down and talk about this? But we rarely give even adults the skills to be able to do this. And because we know that it is much easier to seek out the comfort of validation than it is to step into the discomfort of confrontation, we will always go looking for that other person to tell us that we're right, instead of going to the person to say, can you help me understand this better? Because I'm having this reaction. And so that's the second productivity killing drama mistake, is that we avoid these uncomfortable conversations. And that can be true for leaders, for managers, right? They often aren't always given the skills, given the chance to develop a higher degree of comfort with going to someone and saying like, hey, we got to talk about this a little bit. And we don't necessarily take the time to teach members of the team how to have those conversations. But if we do, you can dramatically cut down on the amount of team drama that takes place.